Hi, everyone. My name is Aaron Wadwa. I'm one of the founders here at Rome. It's terrific to have you all here. Welcome. This is one of our first mortgage discussions of 2026, and I think it's going to start off the year great. We have four incredible industry experts here on stage, each bringing a unique perspective to the table. A quick note on format, which is very simple. It's 30 minutes of moderated discussion followed by audience Q&A. At any point, throw questions in the chat, which you can access in the lower right-hand side of your screen. And of course, feel free to react with our emojis, clap, thumbs up, try to resist throwing tomatoes. We are thrilled to have this exclusive discussion in Rome with this world-class panel. Michael, Gwen, Vernon, and Dustin are thought leaders and visionaries in the space who need no introduction at all, so I will, in fact, not give them one. I will simply just welcome them to the stage, but before I do that, a quick word from our sponsor, Rome.
Welcome to the Office of the Future. Rome is a virtual office that lets everyone in your company work as if you were in one room, but from anywhere. So collaboration is super fast, productivity is super high, and meetings last on average just 8 minutes long. Now, speaking of 8, Rome also includes 8 apps in our all-in-one virtual office super bundle. Apps like Magic Apps, which let you send a video clip to anybody you like, or Lobby, which lets you send a scheduling link out, and our AI Inbox, which lets you chat with anybody, groups, threads, replies, all powered by AI. Now, speaking of AI, over the next few years, every business is either going to become an AI business or be disrupted by one. And Rome is fully enabled by AI, starting with our AI note taker, Magic Minutes, so you can get a recap and prompt any meeting that you've been in. Everyone in Rome also gets an Onyx, which is an AI assistant. You get your own AI assistant that can schedule meetings, that can follow up, that can send emails, that you can prompt about what you've had. You can chat with your AI, and they can do all kinds of tasks, all in the name of making you ultra productive for the future. Nobody knows what the future holds, but I do know this. It's going to be built in a Rome virtual office, hopefully by you.
There we go. I think we are all here, right? Well, good morning, good afternoon, depending on what part of the country that you are tuning in from, or I like to say, where are you roaming from? Thank you, Rome, for putting this on and letting us all come hang out with you. I saw John just use one of the emojis or the Romojis. Make sure you have fun with these Romojis, whether you want to give us a fire, you want to give me a thumbs down, maybe do a little drum roll action. These are all fun features that you have when you utilize this technology. I am Dustin Owen. I am your host for the day. And I love today's topic because I get to introduce you to 3 of my friends in the mortgage industry. These are 3 people that produce at a high level, that are great leaders, people that I respect the hell out of. Quite honestly, if I were to go back to originating full time, I would go work for one of these 3 because they lead by example, they lead with their heart, but they also know what they're doing, right? Very important. So the basis of today, it's a Q&A, it's a moderated panel. I have told both Mike Smalley, Vernon Miles, and Gwen Swain the following. I want you to share what you did to get to where you are today. I want you to share what you're doing to stay on top. As producing managers, it is, from my experience, the hardest job in the industry, right? We are asked to produce, to manage, to lead, and also recruit. Okay. In any one of those individually is a full-time job, yet we try to take on all 4. So what I want to get from this conversation for the benefit of everyone who's on today is I want you to figure out, how could you do it all? And if you can't do it all, and that's okay, who do you need on your team doing which functionalities so that you can make sure that your operation that you're running does it all? For those that I have not had a chance to meet, my first name is Dustin. My last name is Owen. I'm the creator and host of the Loan Officer Podcast. It happens to be our industry's most popular podcast. If you haven't checked it out, I encourage you, go to our YouTube channel where you can watch the podcast, or you can listen to it on Spotify and Apple. All you have to do is just Google the Loan Officer Podcast. It's because of that podcast I was able to retire from my career in production after 21 years. And I spend all of my time today coaching, consulting, and creating content. I coach through a coaching company I launched 2 years ago. That coaching company is called T-Lops Originator Coaching. But today's not about me, it's about you. And about you is getting to know each of our panelists today. So we will start with Mike Smalley. I'll then kick it up to Vernon Miles, and then we're going to save the best for last. And that's Miss Gwen Swain from Boise, Idaho. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to rapid fire questions, which with all three of them, the same questions. I only need to spend about 3 to 5 minutes on those questions. And what I want to do is let the audience get to know who it is that's speaking. If you're anything like me, you sat through conferences, you've listened to somebody talk about either how great they were or why their way of doing business is the recommended, but maybe they didn't necessarily have had success. So I think it's important we know the background of the people that are speaking, so we know of which point of view they're coming from. So Mike, starting with you, first we're going to say, what market do you represent? Where's home for you, Mike?
I'm in Orlando, so Central Florida.
You're with Orlando, and what brand do you represent in the marketplace?
I represent Cross Country.
So Cross Country Mortgage, the number one retail lender. I know that because if you follow Mike Smalley on social media, he reminds you weekly that they are the number one retail lender in America. Mike, when did you enter the mortgage industry?
Summer of 2002.
So summer of 2002, what did last year look like to you in terms of personal production as well as your branch's production?
I did at 53.5 in personal production, which was about 140 units, and average loan amounts around 400 or so. And then our team did about 215.
Okay, your team did 215,000, and that was, you have your branch plus 2 other branches and roughly what, 6-8 LOs?
We have four branches. Most of the branches are small. One producing branch manager, 2 or 3 LOs is kind of a typical branch.
Okay, and what's the goal for 2026 for you as well as for your team?
So I don't believe in setting one goal, because I think oftentimes loan officers set a number that's not achievable unless like all the stars aligned, like maybe 2020 or 2021. So I set 3 goals. I set a minimum standard that I will not accept less than. I set a number that I'm going to be happy about, and I'm going to set a number that I'm going to celebrate like a record type of year. So my happy number is 72 million, 6 million a month. I'd be happy with 72 million. My minimum standard is 50. I will never throughout the rest of my career let myself go below 50 million. I was above 50 million for like 8 or 9 years, boomed during COVID. In 2022, I went from 72 to 36. That was a massive wake up call, big smack in the face. Most of us in the industry probably had a year like that. And in 2022, I said, I'm never going to let that happen again. I'll never do less than 50. So that's my minimum standard. And then hundreds the BHAG. And I think with a little bit of a dip in interest rates, who knows if we get that. But if some refi business comes in, we'll definitely do 100 million. But 72 is kind of the number that I talk about with my team that will make me happy that we should fulfill. We're certainly on a pace to exceed that now. But I think you have to have 3, because most LOs say, I want to do 100 million, and then they fail, and then they're disappointed. And maybe they give up on their goals after February or March because they're behind schedule.
Perfect. And what about your group, right? Because you're a producing manager. Do you have any minimum standards for your group and any BHAGs, which by the way, BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal. Do you have any BHAGs for your team?
250 is our minimum standard, and we added some people in the second half of last year. So that 215 annualized would have been higher, had they not, they come earlier. So that's kind of our minimum standard. 500's a BHAG, but 350s, we'd be really happy with that.
Perfect. And is there anything unique about your particular book of business? Are you a big MSA guy? Are you big with the builders? Do you buy leads?
We do. No, absolutely nothing unique. I don't have any huge builder accounts. Traditional sphere of influence, past client, realtor business. We do have some unique product stuff, like CCM's got, unbelievable non-QM space. It's, for us in-house, it's like doing a conventional loan, with non-QM. So I do a lot of DSCR, bank statement, asset qualifier, 1099 type of loans. Typically, those are my bigger loan sizes. So if there's something unique that I do, it's maybe a product niche that we go after. But from like an MSA standpoint or buying leads, no, we're not involved in anything like that.
And even on that non-QM spectrum, would you say that's 20% of your business? That's 25% of your business?
About a third.
About a third. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That,
Depends on the
that's
loan officer, depends on the branch, but like for me personally, 25% to a third in most months.
okay. So my last question, and then we'll kick it up to Vern. Your role, your responsibility is to produce, manage, lead, and recruit. Which two do you do the best, and which one do are you lacking?
Well, I
Pretty
think I
soon,
But
go
no,
ahead.
go ahead, Mike, and then I'll kick it to Vern. Yeah.
Yeah, produce and lead are the two I do the best. Manage is the one I like to do the least, and recruit is the one I should do more.
Okay. Do you have someone who helps you manage?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Perfect.
have an ops manager that runs the whole region's operation. So contract to close, it's Paul Jenke's show. I try to stay out of that and try not to get wrapped in too much. And I think
Beautiful.
who you hire and what kind of teammates you have also makes a difference on how much managing you have to do. If you have the right people, there's not a lot of management.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Let's go introduce ourselves to Vernon Miles. So, Vern, where's home for you?
New Bedford, Massachusetts, just south of Boston.
So you're a masshole, staying
100%.
warm up there, right?
So it's tough right now with about 18 inches of snow, but it makes me feel I'm pretty warm with the Patriots going back out to San Francisco for the Super Bowl. So,
Oh, are you going to go out
Yeah.
for the game?
No, I wish I was. I wish I was.
Yeah.
The opportunity is there, but too much
Uh,
work.
Very cool. And you entered the mortgage industry in what year?
2006.
So 2006. So similar to Mike. So Gwen's definitely the youngster of the group, and you own your own mortgage brokerage, correct?
Yes. Yeah. We opened up Milestone Mortgage Solutions back in March of 2019. We sold 51% of that over to a regional bank, Bristol County Savings Bank, 2023, which has opened up a lot of different doors in regards to licensing and some product stuff that I know we'll get into a little later on in the show.
That is super cool. I think I was today years old when I recognized and remembered that you sold 51% of your brokerage to a community bank.
Yeah, 3 years in, 4 years in, it was shocking, but it was the right move, and it got us through that post-COVID time, and where everybody was kind of retracting in the marketplace and kind of running scared. We were able to kind of pump our chest and get out there and recruit and produce and keep going.
So are you all operating more as an IMB or as a hybrid brokerage now that you have the new ownership?
Definitely more as a hybrid brokerage, right? So about 18% of our business goes through Bristol County Savings Bank with some of their unique, down payment assistance products, land loans, new construction. They have some, pretty aggressive 7/6 ARM rates, right? So where they can get kind of fancy with that and kind of beat out the marketplace and compete with, the local banks.
Okay. And then your personal production, what did last year look like for you individually, but then for your entire, I guess for your entire company?
Yeah, so for 2025, Craig Snell, our VP of Sales and my business partner, we kind of came to the conclusion I needed to kind of take a step back, even though I didn't want to. But we were talking about what you like to do most. I've always been a producer, like that's what I want to do. So last year, our team and mainly Craig running that because it was only both of us producing with some support staff, did about 125 million. I think we ended 2025 with.
And what was that units wise up there in Massachusetts? Was that 200 units?
Right around 300, 285. I want to say it was right around that.
Okay. And in your role, have you had to step back from production, or are you still talking to borrowers on the daily?
No, I've taken a big step back. I mean, I'll have 1 or 2 conversations a day on that. I mean, last year we set our goal for going into 2025 at 600 million. We ended it at about 636 million for about 1,200 units. So that was almost double from what we did in 2024. Going into 2026, you put out these lofty goals. I believe we have a scoreboard with our loan officers. Once that came out, the competitive juices kind of stepped up. And I remember last year when I put out the, hey, we're going to do 600 million. In the previous year, I think we did 330 million. Everybody's like, Vern, you're absolutely crazy, right? But back to what Michael's talking about, you got to set the bar, but you need to have that minimum in place, right? So going into 2026, our scoreboard reads 1.1 billion. That's our goal. Like that's a non-negotiable for me. That's what keeps me going. I have to go to work And, just like the name of the show here, it's produce, manage, lead, and recruit. If I don't do all four of those, along with the people that are in place and the management that we have and the executive team and all of our loan officers know that they have to, step up their game in 2026, right? It's an all hands on deck type mentality. But, I always joke around and like shoot for the moon, land on the stars, right? Like the worst thing is you're still a superstar, but let's try to keep aiming high and reaching further.
Yeah. So last two questions before we kick it over to Gwen. It would be just for my own clarification. Your production today, if I looked it up, I'd have to look it up under Craig Snell, right?
Yeah, for the most part, if you look at Redder, I'd be shocked if it said 5 million. I haven't even looked it up, right? So a lot of that falls into, we're also licensed in like 43, 44 states. So there's some loans that fall into my name that I ended up taking over. That truly really aren't mine, that I originated. My best, my average year before kind of stepping back from originating was about 75 million. So that was like a non-negotiable for me with, the COVID years hitting in that 120, 125 range. But you learn that you need to have a support staff when you're clipping at that level, or you just don't sleep and you end up in marriage counseling and your kids don't like you and your life's falling apart. So it's kind of a catch-22.
Been there, done that, homeboy. Been there, done that. You and I talked about that on a recent podcast episode.
Yes,
so my last question was the one I ended with Mike as well. So you in your role, you have to produce, manage, lead, and recruit. Which two do you do really well, and which is the one that you're either backing away from or you had to delegate to someone else?
Yeah, so it's kind of unique, right? I think I really love producing, and when I was doing that on a day-to-day basis in and out, I think that was the best thing I did. If you ask, some of the loan officers and some of the operations people that might even be on this call, that's probably what I do worse out of those four segments now, just because it's always evolving, right? The guidelines are changing, rates are changing 3, 4, 5 times a day at this point. Managing people, I find, I'm pretty passionate about that because I kind of team that up with coaching. We believe in EPF, the emotional, physical, and financial well-being of every single person that's, under your leadership. The recruiting piece, we're doing well with it, but I have a business development officer, Sean Lee, out of Washington that handles a lot of that. I'm learning from him. I'm one of these crawl, walk, run. I still think I'm in crawl, just in about the manage, lead, and recruit. But I definitely miss producing, right? Like that's kind of where my heart's always been, but I'm filling it in other ways with, coaching some of the loan officers and really seeing their growth, right? We've had loan officers, their best year before coming to Milestone, 7 million, 9 million, 13 million, and now they're eclipsing 25, 30 million. We have goals we set every year, with the loan officers, and, hearing them say, hey, I want to close 40 million, I want to close 50 million, and looking at our scoreboard and thinking we could have 10, 12 loan officers that 3 years ago did not originate, not one of them originated more than $5 million, $7 million, doing 50 million. Like that's what kind of gets the engine running for me.
Yeah. So if I were to summarize for the group, you have offloaded your production, which was your baby, right? That was your first love. You've offloaded that onto your team, right? You've had some of your management team who are still in production take over your referral sources, handling your clients. You do have someone helping you recruit, but your focus right now is being a great leader and being a good manager. You are trying to become a better recruiter, and you still miss production, but right now the production is the one thing that's being done by other people.
Yes, sir.
Cool. All righty, Miss Gwen, Boise, Idaho. Gwen, remind me, but tell the attendees, when did you enter the mortgage industry, just for perspective?
In 2017 as a loan partner, and then I started originating in 2018.
Okay, so you are by far the youngest. I think you're also the youngest age-wise. I know you're younger than Smalley. I can see those gray hairs popping through on Mike. But you're the younger one in terms of years in the career. What was your best year in the industry, and then what was last year for you?
So my best COVID production was 91 million. And then last year I did 60 million because now I have the side hustle of running the other 2 branches.
Yeah, the side hustle. So you did 60 million in personal production. You do run 2 branches. And what did your branches do combined last year?
125. million.
125. So you're half of your branches, but that means you have branches doing, double what you're doing. What are your goals for 2026?
So my goal is to open a third location, and then grow our current originator volume from 125 to 150, keeping my own volume the same. So I'm trying to get them to 160 is the goal. So they do 100 them and then 60 for me. And if we can add one or two producers, then that's just gravy.
Perfect. And is there anything unique about your book of business? I asked this of Mike as well, like any MSAs, any builder agreements, or pretty standard?
Yeah, just realtor referral. I'm like 85% realtor referral. And then I specialize in our state's bond program. So I do a lot of first-time home buyers, down payment assistance, people with no money.
Yeah. But you know what? I mean, your state has a great program. Mike has access to an awesome program called Hometown Heroes in Florida. And I know, Vern, that the state of Massachusetts has an amazing state-sponsored down payment assistance program. No, I tend to ask those questions quite honestly, because what I try to do is I want to remove the excuses from the audience. Like, as an audience member and someone who has run branches, been a rent originator, coaches LOs today, I'm tired of hearing well, of course Gwen does that because of X. Of course Mike does. I'm like, no, no, it's not because of one particular thing that a Gwen, a Vern, or a Mike and their teams are successful. It's because they dominate the basics. So I always want to know if there is something, because if there is something, let's hear about it, because maybe we can swipe, adapt it, and implement into our market. All right. So now that we have the groundwork covered, right? We've gotten to know Vern, Mike, and Gwen. I want to get into some of the questions I've prepared before we kick it over to the question that the audience has prepared, or the audience wants to ask. And I'm going to ask each of you to answer this. Mike, Vern, and Gwen, what is one thing that you did early on in your career, again, whether it was building your branches or building your personal production, that you attribute your success to that one thing? And Mike, you can go ahead, Mike.
If you want to build a branch, most branches start and are led by a top producer, and that's kind of what all three of us are, right? And Dustin, when we were, built ours together, right, we were all producers, and so I think one thing you can do is put up big numbers, and people are going to want to follow your lead. And in a successful branch is led by a successful loan officer, and then at some point maybe you grow into doing like what Vernon's doing, where you can step back because you're big enough. So for me, the biggest thing I did was I did leveraged events. And so what's a leveraged event? Lunch and learn, a happy hour, office meetings, things like that. For me, it was lunch and learns. The biggest fear in life is death. The second biggest fear is public speaking. And I had that fear myself, despite like pitching on ESPN in front of huge crowds when I played baseball. Was deathly scared of public speaking. It's easier to speak in public if you know the topic. And so in 2008, post crash, there was a company called Loan Toolbox that some of you have probably heard of if you've been around. And they put out this PowerPoint called Mortgage Market Meltdown. It was basically an event in the box for us. And I made a commitment to start teaching lunch and learns. I knew that topic. I had the PowerPoint presentation. As an aside, I hate PowerPoint. I never use it anymore for presentations, but it was given to me and easy to present. And we did an in-person lunch and learn from October-ish of 2008 every single month until COVID. And then during COVID, we kind of shifted online. And then for the last couple of years, it's been both. But I feel like leveraging your time where you're speaking as the expert on a topic that you're comfortable with in front of a group of realtors is the best way to one, leverage your time, and then kind of two, gain credibility as a local market expert. So that's how I built my business early on, and still something that we do to this day.
Vern, how about you?
Yeah, so I mean, my big piece of advice would just be a sponge, right? Get to know all your products, all your vanilla products, I call it. I don't really did, even in the last couple of years, like non-QM, that wasn't anything. Just, every FHA, conventional, VA, that's where I lived 95% of my business. If I had to go back and, brand new loan officer comes into Milestone, the first thing I ask him is like, if you want to be part of Milestone, what do you do on the weekends, right? A lot of them are younger that we're bringing in, and I was known as like the open house warrior, right? So I would, if I'm going to get dressed and I'm going to go out, on a Saturday and Sunday, and I'm going to put on a nice shirt and iron pants and pay for my dry cleaning. I'm going to do 2, maybe 3 open houses on that Saturday and Sunday. I might have some pre-approval appointments, so I'm using those as work days and maybe taking Wednesday or Thursday off during that week. I think what that did is it got me in front of a lot of listing agents that really wanted somebody there, but buyer's agents walking through. And then they start seeing you consistently. You do that. And the key to this business is consistency and accountability, right? So I would be out there for, I don't know, I did that 12 years in a row. It didn't matter if I was doing 75 million or 120 million. You could count on me being at open houses on the weekends. You can still go spend time with your wife and kids. But if you're brand new, no one knows who you are. Everybody knows who Do is, right? And Michael and Gwen, you guys been killing it for a long time. But how many people know somebody who just got in the business 45 days ago, right? So if they can get a mentor that's going to get them in front of the agent to get them into that open house, and then just keep doing those open houses, as many as possible, the agents that need those offers accepted, the offer deadline, 2:00 Sunday afternoon, which always has blown my mind. If you're always working and that agent has a go-to loan officer they can't get a hold of, your phone rings. Hey, can you do a pre-approval for this buyer? I know you work on weekends. So all I did is I took my weekend on Wednesday. I really didn't. I mean, we'll get into that later, but I work 7 days a week, even to this point. But my biggest advice to anybody new, just get out and start doing open houses and communicate, right? Just have conversations. It's amazing to me, 2026, all these young guys, girls, they just want to get out there, text message. Listen, that's all important, videos and Instagram and all that. But when was the last time you just picked up the phone and started calling people in your own phone book just to ask them how they're doing? Hey, haven't talked to you in 6 months. The phone's going to ring. Just have conversations. They always end with real estate. Like if you're at your barbecue and you're not even in real estate, I hear my friends talking about, I just refinanced my house. I'm looking at a second home. Like it always ends up in real estate, guys. Like it's wild to me.
What about your branch? When you opened up your brokerage, what was something you did early on to scale it, right? I mean, you're talking about doing 1.1 billion this year. You did over 600 million last year, right? What's something you did 7 years ago when you opened that brokerage that looking back, you're like, glad I did that?
Don't be scared and push all your chips into the middle, right? If you're doing 50 million, 75 million, you're making a good living. If you end up jumping onto the wholesale side, going on the broker channel, push all your chips in, right? The people who've been with me the longest, RCO, Rachel O'Donnell, Craig Snell, they were there when you push all the chips in, right? Like that payroll comes due, push the chips in. You have to hire another processor. You have to hire that LOA. I think looking back on it, I've always had an LOA. Like honestly, 3 years into the business, that's the one thing. If I was originating at a high level again right now today, if I had to jump in tomorrow, once you're established and you know how to originate a loan, you're doing 5 loans a month, start looking for an LOA. It's a game changer. Your life is going to be that much better. And that's where you can start incrementally just doubling, tripling your business. But the big thing, just invest in your business, right? Like just because you're doing $1 billion on paper does not mean you're making anywhere close to $1 billion. I think I made more. I don't think I can say this honestly on this call. I can show you my W-2 for different years where I was just originating, and I can show you a W-2 from last year or whatever you want to look at. You make more money originating, and that's what I tell the loan officers. I'm like, if I had to do it all over again, sometimes I just look back and say, it'd be like 3 or 4 of my buddies just working in that first office with really good ops team and just have a lot of fun. When you start growing into this, you have to start watching out who you're grabbing a beer with, and if there's any problems, there's all kinds of other things that come along with it that's not fun.
That's good perspective for the group. No, for those tuning in, right? This is all about produce, manage, lead, recruit. And if I read between the lines there, Vern, you're basically telling us, hey, look, if you're in it for the money, don't bother with managing and leading, because the money is in production. But if there's more that drives you than just the money, then obviously you end up doing things like you did in your career. Gwen, let's slide over to you. Looking back at your career, both as an originator and as a manager, right? Mm-hmm. What's one thing you did as a originator that you're like, yep, I'm making sure all my LOs do this? And then as a manager, what advice would you have to someone who's wanting to be the next producing branch manager?
Yeah. I mean, for me, starting new in my career, it was all about Facebook. It's still all about Facebook. Like, I think the common thread here is whatever the thing is that you like to do, if it's lunch and learns or if it's open houses, that you will do it then and you'll do it consistently and it won't feel like a chore. I don't cold call. I've never cold called. I remember going to like some sort of panel that was talking about the core, and it was like, you're going to call 40 realtors on Mondays. And I'm like, and then I quit. That's not how I'm going to do it. So, but for me, networking on social media was very comfortable and organic. And so I was able to meet my realtors that way. And then obviously move that into real life. So that's something that I always, 5 days a week, I'm posting, I'm making connections. I Facebook friend all of the realtors that I meet. And I coach my loan officers to do the same, just because it is a multiplier. It's free. Facebook does a lot of legwork for you in terms of suggesting friends. And then it's just another way to drip and to touch on people while you still do all the old school coffees and stuff like that. So transitioning into a manager, I think Mike hit it on the nail on the head. Like, you start with your own production and you earn the branch, right? Like there's no shortcut to that. I think that you get to a pain point where you realize that you just want more autonomy and more control over the P&L and over the marketing costs. And I want to hire. Vern, you put it well about pushing your chips to the middle. Like, if you're entrepreneurial and you're like, okay, I like producing, but I really want to see what this company can be and what the creative of like pulling all the levers, then that was kind of an organic like transition to me into branch management, because we were just too big. During COVID, I had 8 full-time employees and I was a loan officer. Like, it didn't make sense to not start my own. And then really, like, just by mistake and networking, like, loan officers started to join my branch. So I haven't really done any like deliberate recruiting or, spear fishing, if you will, to go find that next big loan officer to come work for me. It's been more just like how you meet realtors, through bumping into them and being out in the wild. Like, that's sort of how I've drawn the loan officers to me that I work with now.
Yeah, I mean, I can say, knowing you, and knowing Mike especially. I mean, I was Mike's business partner, for those that don't know, for 17 years. What we did so well is we built the systems and processes that worked for us. And I'm guessing, Vern, you did the same exact thing. And your friends in the industry found out that all they had to do is join your team, and they too can tie into those systems and processes, right? Mike's doing lunch and learns. If I became Mike's partner, guess what I get to do every month? Lunch and learns. Yeah. Is any extra work for me? No, Mike's already doing it. I just have to show up. So then when we hired 5 LOs, guess what they got? A lunch and learn every single month done for them. Mike has a CRM. I have a set process for turning loans into processing. All of a sudden, that CRM's our CRM. My process for submitting files is the company's, and then everything from there just starts to multiply. Love your answer there, Gwen, because yes, it's exactly how we experienced it as well. So let's talk about how you all prioritize your weeks and your days. Because, I mean, if you're going to do this role, we're talking production, managing, leading, and recruiting. You got to be structured, I'm assuming. So Mike, give us an idea of like, how do you structure your days and your weeks to make sure that you're checking all the boxes?
So I think your not to-do list is as important, or sometimes more important than your to-do list. Okay. So email is a absolute time sucker. People spend 15 minutes composing an email, and then it takes you 10 to respond and read it. So I'm very anti-email. Anyone on my team knows that the one way to get me grumpy is to send me a long email or forward see below. So I really try to stay off emails. Like, in-person or Teams quick phone calls, I think, is a much more effective way to communicate and get things done quick. At our old company, Dustin, I was on so many committees and calls and meetings, and we had this big division, and it was a little bit, we self-inflicted it, but it was like death by meeting. And so I really try to limit how many meetings I'm in that are recurring. And if I have a meeting, like, I want them 15 to 20 minutes. I try not to do hour-long meetings, because I think what most people spend doing an hour, you can do in 20, 30 minutes. So those are the two big not to do's for me, is just try to teach your people not to use email. That's an efficiency waster. And then, the meetings. I set my week up from a personal like production standpoint with theme days. And you probably talk about that a lot in coaching, Dio. Like, I do certain things, certain days of the week, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays. Thursdays, Fridays are kind of scripted of what I want it to look like from a proactive standpoint. And then, of course, our business is very reactionary, whether that's new leads that come in, new contracts that come in, or problems that arise that have to be solved. So you have to leave time in every day just to kind of handle the reactionary activities. So I feel like my day's probably 60-40 proactive versus reactive. I think you can overcommit yourself if you try to time block every minute. I don't think that's realistic. But the theme days can be very effective. And kind of along the topic of management, you have to have team members that can handle tasks. And I think some new managers or leaders want to micromanage and do everything. And Dustin, you said something the other day. I like to say, like, it's not my quote, but perfect is the enemy of done. You have a saying that you say, and it's basically like, if someone else can do it 80% as good as you and it's off your desk, then let them do it. And like Vernon would have never built, and Gwen, the teams that they've built without having people that can help. And I think as you're building your business and trying to expand and grow and kind of wear those double hats of production and management, you have to start letting go of control, whether that's bringing partners in, bringing ops people in, promoting people from within, having a sales manager. There's lots of like roles that can fill those tasks, but you have to get stuff off your plate. Otherwise, you're either going to burn out or you're never going to grow.
Yeah, Mike, I pulled it from Dan Martell. It's 80% done by someone else is 100% awesome.
Yeah.
And I've even told LOs for years before I was introduced to Dan Martell, like, you don't need that person to be as good as you. You need them to be better than the competition. And that's two separate things, right? Better than the competition may mean they score a 90, the competition's at an 88, even if you would have been a 96. Like, law of diminishing return says I didn't need to be a 96. I just need to be a 90 if my competition was an 88. Vern, how about you? How do you I heard earlier you like to work, you're willing to work 7 days a week,
Yep.
but when I add structure to your day or to your week, how do you prioritize, or how do you make sure, as I asked Mike, that you check all the boxes?
So I'm very organized when it comes to my calendar, right? If it's in my calendar, it's going to get done. If it's in my calendar, I'm going to be at my kid's basketball game. So my family has access to my calendar. They can put in all of the stuff there. My wife will book a trip in April. If it's empty, great. Let's go on a trip in April. My team members, all have access to my calendar. They need 15 minutes. And Michael said it perfectly. If a meeting's more than 15 minutes, like, what are we doing in that meeting? Like, back to that 1-3-1 rule. Like, we have one problem, bring me 3 solutions to that problem, and then give me your best option to fix it. And 90% of the time, I'm going to agree with you. But time blocking for me, the theme days when I was just originating, well, that was a huge one, right? Call your pre-approvals on Thursday, do all those type of things. I do find that I'm now time blocking a lot more for just sitting down with everybody, making sure we don't lose the culture, talking to the leaders, talking to the marketing and the operations team a little bit more. The recruiting just never ends, right? Like, that's the part where, you get a recruiter, somebody you're trying to recruit, and they're on the West Coast and I'm on the East Coast, and I like my time at night. I try to be home at least twice a week by 6 at the latest, so I can have like a normal time dinner with my kids and my wife. But the personal piece, that's the most important thing, right? Like, get that stuff into your calendar. If it's going to the gym in the morning, do you, right? So, a couple of loan officers I coach, they're big golfers. They love golf. I'm like, guys, 3:00 on Wednesday. If that's the day you're going to golf in the league, you're out of here at 3. Do not book anything, no matter what it is. It's a non-negotiable for you. Go do that, because it's going to get your mind right. So,
Awesome.
I'm kind of in that same boat.
Yeah. I mean, you live and die by your calendar.
If it goes down and I don't know, I look at it as soon as my eyes open up, I grab the phone. I'm like, what time do I have to leave today? Right? Like, what time is my first meeting? What do I have to get prepared? And I go from there.
Yep. No, I'm a huge proponent. I actually probably learned this from Mike 15, 20 years ago, but today I coach it. I'm like, I can tell who's the top producer and who's not just by looking at their calendar. I don't need to see your face. I don't need to pull up your Redder or your model match numbers. I literally can look at your calendar and realize how successful you are in business. Gwen, how about you? How do you structure or prioritize your days and your weeks?
I mean, I it's changed, right? Like, and it's always changing because of the needs of the team and also who you've built on your team. So I don't do theme days. I probably should. But I kind of are more like the rocks and then the pebbles and the sand and the water. Like there's certain things that are recurring that I absolutely hold to just from like a marketing side. And then we meet every week and we decide like one of my non-negotiables is 2 coffees every week. So whether that's with a nurture realtor that I'm keeping loyal or it's a new prospect, as I start to move more in towards like the leadership side, it's going to be a recruiting prospect. So it's a loan officer, but like I need to be doing 2. Those are truly like where sales conversion happens, is in a one-on-one conversation, right? So, but I think what's changed for me is that as I hire around me, and one of the benefits of deciding that you want to take a leadership tract, right, is that as you move out of every seat in your organization, everybody gets to move up a seat, right? And you infill below. So you are creating opportunity for others as you're like paving that path for yourself. And so when I hire somebody and I peel off a chunk of my day-to-day to somebody else, and that opens up 20 hours a week for me, it's just about being deliberate of the things that I'm going to say yes to need to be roles that the person in the job I want take on, right? They say like dress for the job that you want. I think it's kind of the same about protecting your calendar. So as an opportunity comes up, really weighing that and saying, is doing this thing going to get me to, is that in alignment with the next title, the next role, the next person iteration of me that I want to be, so that you don't keep getting sucked down into the day-to-day, because it can easily fill your time with busy, because suddenly your loan officers realize that you have an opening in your calendar and they want you to calculate their income and be their loan partner. And it's like, no. I have a person who you can help with that. I need to go seek opportunities to recruit or to go to leadership seminars to level up so that at my next sales meeting, I'm more inspirational. Like, who do I need to be in the next chapter of my career versus, and I'll peel the things off that I'm not going to do anymore to those where it's their next step of their career. So it kind of, creates opportunity.
No, I love that. And you too, you do not check your own email, correct? You and
No.
Mike have that in common.
No.
Yeah, and you haven't for years.
I don't post on my Facebook anymore either. I mean, you start to leverage stuff to other people who can do that better than you.
Yeah, for those, and I see John Broad is joining us. We're going to open it up to Q&A, so go ahead and get your questions ready. But I wanted to say this about theme days in general, because Mike, you've mentioned it, Vern, you mentioned it, and Gwen, you have mentioned it. And yes, we do coach theme days over at T-Lobs Originator Coaching. And no, theme days are nothing new. They were taught to me 15 years ago, but here's what I can tell you about theme days. My sister, the school teacher, follows theme days, right? She knows that she teaches math Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. She knows PE is Wednesday, Friday. She knows social studies is Tuesday, Thursday. My garbage collector, he knows that yard trash is on Wednesday, that recycling is on Thursday, and that regular waste is Monday, Friday. I'm training for an Ironman in Portugal in October. As a triathlete, I have theme days. Like, I don't just wake up one day saying, gosh, I think I want to swim today. No, I know I swim on Mondays and Fridays. I know I bike Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. I know that Wednesday's a track workout and Sunday's a long run, right? Like, our world is so much easier when you follow theme days because of this. It takes out the guesswork. It tells me what I have to do the night before, just because I know, oh, it's Tuesday. I know I need to get out my bike equipment, or I know it's the day that I have to call my recruits, or it's when I do my pipeline meeting, whatever the case may be, depending on what stage of your life you're talking. So I just wanted to clarify that. I know there's people on this call that are like, what are theme days? Gwen doesn't do them. Vern loved them. Mike's talking about them. I just wanted to kind of offer some perspective on theme days in general. All right. Aaron or John, do you want me to kick it over to you so you can moderate the Q&A? How do we want to do this?
Yeah, that sounds good. I think we have a couple questions in the chat. From Tyler, he asks, any tools or tech that help you optimize or manage your time?
We use a point of sale program called Blend, and Simple Nexus is a similar one that I didn't have at a prior stop, but at where I'm at now we have, and it's a, I don't know, 75% time saver on pre-approving a buyer. So there's some tech like that just to speed the kind of the consumer experience piece of it. And I think if you're trying to wear both hats, you have to be able to originate loans quickly.
Vern, Gwen, tech for you guys?
I don't have a lot of tech right in my world. I mean, for email, we use like Superhuman, a lot of that. I know Michael and Gwen don't use any, don't check their email. I'm already getting texts from some of the people in my office. They're like, oh, it looks like Vern's not checking email anymore. So thank you, Michael and Gwen. I'm probably going to eliminate that off my plate as well.
Hey, Vern, read Dan Martell's book, Buy Back Your Time.
Yeah.
Because I'm literally hiring an EA, and the first thing that she or he is going to do for me is manage my calendar and manage my email. But Dan Martell actually has some good tools and guides for that.
Thanks.
Or because you're a part of our coaching community, just reach out to Coach Gwen. I'm sure she can give you some tips too. Because Gwen's been doing it the longest of anyone that I know personally.
Yeah,
I'll teach you how to write the job description to put on Indeed to hire the person who will keep you sane. Yeah.
There we go. Gwen, how about you? Any tech that you use?
Yeah, I lean heavily on Pipedrive. I'm a big Pipedrive proponent. So it's a CRM that's not specific to mortgage. It's incredibly cheap. It integrates two-way, syncs with your email. So any email from anybody who on your team gets pulled into that client's deal, and you can kind of manage the whole history with the client. That's been kind of like our biggest marketing tool, because as we're having updates with our clients, regardless of when they came into our lives 4 years ago, a week ago, we're updating our realtors every single time. And so like that becomes our biggest unique sales proposition, is just our follow-up is ridiculous because it's enabled by this tool.
When isn't Pipedrive very customizable? Like you can pretty much build out whatever you want to build out, right?
Yeah, it's like a Salesforce Lite. I don't use automation. I don't use it probably to the fullest extent that I can, but it's just in terms of setting your next task. Mike, I think you were like the Manila folder guy. It's basically like the Manila folder system for just on your phone. Yeah.
What else you have for us, Aaron?
So question from Michael: what habits have you put into place to build and maintain strong relationships with real estate agents?
So there's a guy named Sean Wolland who works with Gwen at the company Dio and I used to work at. And a couple years ago, he was on a call and he has had an idea, and he hosts, and I don't know if he does this anymore, but every Monday morning he hosted a market update on Zoom for realtors, on Roam for realtors, an online meeting. And I took that idea and ran with it, and I've done it every Monday morning for the past 3 years. Had about 65 people on this week, and kind of on the theme of like, leveraging your time. That's a great way to get in front of a large audience. And then based upon who attends those meetings, that's like them raising their hand for me to follow up with a one-on-one. But it's hard to manage 100 realtor relationships on an individual basis. And so I can kind of manage them by scale if I get people to events. And then certain people you're trying to spend more one-on-one time with. And Gwen's idea of like 2 coffees a week, I think, is a must. I tend to do like 2 lunches a week. But it's hard to meet with a lot of people one-on-one. So you've got to figure out a way to do one versus many marketing.
Michael, I kind of followed that same kind of path down that way. I would say for me, I do not or have not ever worked with 100 agents ever, or even close to that. So I have on average anywhere between 4 and 7 real estate agents that are going to get all of my A time. And that's kind of how I've always ran my business. And then I have the financial planners, and just to keep those relationships, you build friendships, right? All of us on this call, there's 5 to 7 agents. That's why I only spend the time with the 5 to 7. If you want to send me a deal every quarter or every 6 months, you're going to get my newsletter. You're going to get all the CRM stuff that goes out there. Jump on a call with 100 people on it. But it's just building that personal relationship, like getting invited to their kids' birthday parties. I was the best man at one of my agents that I've been dealing with for 20 years, his second marriage. And those are just kind of the things that this business is very rewarding, in the sense that we get to help people with the largest transaction in their life and help them change their life and educate them. But more importantly, we get to meet amazing people. I mean, I just met Dio. You guys have all known Dio, it sounds like, for a long time. This guy could potentially change my life, but more importantly, it's just a great friend, right? And that's how I kind of look at my real estate agents, is I don't work with anybody that I'm not going to have a beer with or hang out with. So, if I don't like you, I'm just not going to work with you, because you're not going to help me get to the next level of my career.
Vern, fair warning, I don't know how to have a beer.
That's why we get along, Dio.
Yeah. What else you got for us, Aaron?
So we have a question from Brian in the chat that is, how involved do you get on your own loans, reviewing pre-approvals, disclosure review, etc.?
Gwen, you want to take that one first?
I'm only available for escalations. So my whole thing is like teach a man to fish, right? If I can teach my loan partner to do it with the logic that we have, hire the right person, teach them the right way, and then just be available should they need you, then I'm only pulled. Oh my gosh, I'm having technical issues. Let me see.
We can hear
You
you.
guys still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear
Okay,
you.
weird. Yeah, no, my computer's freaking out. But ultimately, it's just, yeah, if they get stuck on something or if there's a snafu, then they pull me in. So I'm only touching a small percentage of those that need me. And otherwise, everybody's available to do it on their own.
You're never
So-
going to build a branch or a team or a big group if you're stuck in file management. It's impossible. There's no way you can do it.
Yeah, that and Gwen, that was interesting, your answer. So for my clarification, do you feel like you talk to at least every borrower once, or you only talk to the borrowers where it requires escalation?
No, I don't talk to every borrower. I talk to every agent. The realtors are my client. So it's important when one of my loan partners takes a loan app that I'm brought in the loop so I can nurture the realtor relationship. But ultimately, the volume that we do and the other roles that I have with this organization don't allow me the ability to talk with every client, but it isn't necessary if we're doing it in the right way.
Cool. And by the way, I don't know if we mentioned this, but Gwen is with Waterstone Mortgage Corporation. Right. So Mike's with Cross Country, Gwen's with Waterstone, and Vern's with Milestone.
We have another question in the chat, which is, where do your customers get serviced? How are the recapture awards affecting you?
Ooh, who wants to jump on that one?
We service like 200 billion. We service pretty much all of our agency business. But I don't know if servicing can be good and bad. So, you're going to get questions like, where's my 1098 interest statement if you service? But you're also going to be able to net escrows on a refi. So I think there's good and bad. I don't think it, like when at our old company where we didn't service, I found the way to benefit in that model. At my new company where I've been a couple of years, where we do service, I can maneuver my business to benefit that model. So I think it doesn't really matter where you work. Like, you just need to adapt your business to what your company does. And some companies want to service and some don't.
Gwen, Vern, do you have any varying feedback to that question?
I mean, Michael, you hit the nail on the head, right? I mean, you just kind of follow wherever you're at. I've worked where, they service the loans. I'm on the broker now where, you have United Wholesale Mortgage, you have New Res, you have PennyMac that's going to service those loans for you. You do miss out on some of the opportunities on net and escrows. I don't really see any real positive or negative no matter what side you're on.
I think the way you avoid that is you call your past customers.
Yep.
Like if you proactively call them and stay in relationship, they'll stay with you for the refi. I'm guessing that was a refi question, and I think we've all made that mistake. I know I have, but if you don't call them and then you call them 3 years later and you've never talked to them once and they've just got all your canned spam emails that maybe they haven't opted out of, maybe they have. And your first call is like, hey, Dustin, it's time to refi. It's Mike. I haven't talked to you for 3.5 years since I made a nice commission on you back in 2019. You're going to lose that person and they're going to be a rate shopper. So I think you avoid that by doing a great job of doing annual reviews with your customers and staying in contact with them.
Yeah, what's interesting about our database in general is too many of us in the industry spend more time looking at our 401k statement, like something that I can't touch for 13 years. Some people can't touch it for 20 years, right? But we're not willing to spend that much time looking at our database portfolio, right? It's like database portfolio management versus like your investment portfolio management. Mike, what you said reminds me, like, all of us are day traders. The difference is our stock is our database, and we need to be spending every day inside of our database, reaching out to our clients, at which point it doesn't matter whether we service or we don't service. because more than likely we're going to be the person that they use when it comes time to doing a mortgage again. Aaron, did you have time for one more question, or did we have one more question?
Yeah, we have one last one. I know we're right up on time. It's from Mark. It's what are the 3 tips for a new recruiter to not come across as salesy? So if we have any quick answers to that, that'd be great.
Ooh, who wants to jump on that hand grenade?
I'll go. Go ahead, Gwen.
I was just gonna say, like, it's about asking questions. I think that so many times in sales, like the difference between somebody feeling like they're being sold and not is, are you telling the prospect something or are you asking the prospect something? And I think that we as top producers get recruited all the time. And there's a golden rule, right? Where you don't want to do what you don't like people doing to you, don't do to other people. I don't like being cold called. I don't want to cold call. I don't want to cold call realtors. I don't want to cold call loan officers. But if I have the opportunity to meet a loan officer, then all I'm going to do is ask them questions. And if there isn't a need, then I'm moving on. I think that it's the same thing that got you successful in terms of getting realtors to buy into you is going to be the same thing that gets you successful in terms of getting loan officers to buy into you, which is if there's a need there and you can solve the problem in your heart and do it, right, then do it. But if you have the conversation and you're asking the questions and the thing that you offer is not the thing that they need, then they're not the prospect for you.
Genius. Gwen made a good point on the cold calling piece. Like, we've all received that phone call and been like, oh, why'd I answer this? Right? Like, oh, I thought I was a lead, but it was a recruiter. I've had very little success in my career cold calling realtors. And I would imagine most loan officers in the country have had very little success. I don't think many people have success cold calling recruits. So how did I meet realtors, right? A third party endorsement, another realtor introduced me, a listing ad in a transaction. But there was always, it's like a triangle for trust, right? There was always one point of contact that I could use to say, hey, realtor, I work with so-and-so, and that's my point. And that's kind of my reference point, which gets me beyond kind of that cold call realm. And so with recruits, it's got to be the same thing. Like, people that you might have previously worked with in your past, could be years ago. It could be someone that you're in a network with, or a coaching company, or someone that is in your community that you bump into at networking events like Women's Council of Realtors and other real estate board things. But you've got to find a way to connect with other loan officers, and the only way to do that is to get your rear end out of the office and get out in your community and see people. And if there's a great event in Orlando next week, Dustin, I think you're speaking at it. I think you guys are sponsoring it. I'm going, and I have other things to do Monday and Tuesday. I'm just going to network within my community and meet other loan officers. And I'm not going with a recruiting mindset. I'm going with I'm going to meet people mindset. And then maybe there's some synergies with people that you meet. And so the best way to recruit, I think, is just to get out there and meet people, because cold calling is not really effective in any business, recruiting, getting realtor business, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. You guys, the referral piece is big for me, and that's how we've kind of been able to grow in different regions of the country. It's, we have 75 plus loan officers. It's just asking them, who do you see in your marketplace that you're competing with? And then slowly start tripping on them. And going back to, Gwen building her business on using Facebook, I'm using a lot of Instagram, Facebook. You just start liking, commenting, congratulating, right? The loan officer's doing a great job at another institution. Just keep going that way. And then make sure you're running into them at, events like FAMP or, some of these New England Mortgage Regional Banker trade shows, and just talking to them that way. It's amazing. I've owned Milestone for 6-7 years now, and I still get recruiting phone calls and voicemails. And I'm like, did you guys do any research whatsoever? So one of the big things that Sean has taught me is do the research beforehand, right? Go on their LinkedIn. Like, what are they doing right now? Like, somebody, DO is probably still getting phone calls. He's not even originating loans anymore. It's like, it's just wild to me. These people that are calling, leaving voicemails. I'm getting page-long text messages about what they're offering. It's like, I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for something else if I was to leave the company.
And do it yourself too. Like, I got that text, hey, Vernon, this is so-and-so from XYZ Mortgage that I've never heard of. Our regional manager is going to be in town. They're very interested in your production, blah, 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 blah. It's like, if they're that interested, then why did they call me? Right. So like, do the recruiting yourself, and then let your recruiting team be a supplement to that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, question for Aaron and for John with Rome. Does Rome work in the Caribbean?
Yep, it does.
Sweet. Yeah. I'm going to do something different this year. You guys are one of the first people to hear it. We're going to do a mortgage event on a cruise ship in September, heading to the Bahamas and heading to a private island.
Love to hear that.
Yeah.
It'll work. Rome allows you to work from anywhere. So
Yeah. So, y'all mark your calendars, September 14th through 18th. Anyone, we've already booked 100 cabins with Royal Caribbean's largest cruise ship going out of Central Florida. So leaving Port Canaveral, heading to the Bahamas. And rumor has it, I can probably squeeze a little bit more out of Royal Caribbean. But right now, I've promised them that I feel like we can get 100 rooms or 100 cabins booked. So anyhow, John, you want to hop on and close this out for us, or is that going to be Aaron?
Yeah, no, I'll just close this out. Huge thank you to all of our panelists. You'll see all of their contact information in the chat too. We dropped that there. Let's throw them some row emojis. Give them a round of applause. Thank you to the audience as well for your interaction, taking some time out of your day to join this conversation.
Hey, real quick, if people wanted to follow or connect with Gwen, Vern, or Mike, how would they do so?
It's in the chat in the bottom right. So we just dropped it to put it in there.
Oh, beautiful. Bottom right, down in the chat. Oh, look at that.
There
Sweet.
you go. Yeah. And then also, as a thank you for attending, we have a very special standing by to give you a 10-minute tour of Rome. If you join today's tour, not only will you have a blast, but we also will give you free express onboarding. This is in addition to the 2-week free trial for you and your entire team. You're not going to want to miss it. We put the link to that in the chat as well. Just click on it and you'll see exactly how our Rome AI-powered office of the future is supercharging productivity and culture for hundreds of pioneering mortgage teams. But thank you all for attending. We'll see you at the next one.
Thanks for having us. Bye, guys. Great job, panelists.